of the New Democratic Party.
Yesterday, we became aware of 2 allegations of aggressive and inappropriate conduct by the member for Yarmouth against former members of the House. And in the emails to you, Mr. Speaker, about these experiences, both complainants made reference to the Premier's having been made aware of what had taken place. Now, the Premier has spoken just now to media about how he does not feel that he had been, in fact, made aware of this. But the source of the statement that he had been made aware of these complaints at the time is Maureen McDonald, the former leader of our party, the former Minister of Finance and former Minister of Health. Is the Premier, in fact, alleging that Maureen McDonald and the 2 complainants in this situation are not providing accurate representations of the truth?
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Honourable Member for the question. Mr. Speaker, I in no way, Mr. Speaker, reflecting and making comment on what those members said. What I am very clearly telling the Honourable Member, at no time has anyone spoke to me about a physical contact between any of my members of my caucus or anyone else in this chamber, Mr. Speaker. I have, Mr. Speaker, been spoken to about the enthusiasm of some of our members, but at no time, Mr. Speaker, respectfully, no time, Mr. Speaker, let me be clear, at no time has anyone contacted me, Mr. Speaker, about a physical altercation with any of my members, Mr. Speaker, and I want to tell the Honourable Member, I took this issue very seriously. Tuesday morning, I asked the person who my executive assistant has been with me since 2008 to ensure and look for any communications between the 2 former members and their 2 leaders, because it was also the former Premier as well as the current interim leader at that time when these allegations were being made. Look for any information in my office and in my constituency office to my assistant. Same time, I went to the person who works in my office who's handled correspondence since 2012 to identify any issues associated with that, Mr. Speaker. There has been no communication issue around this particular issue, and at no time has anyone came to me around an issue of physical altercation with any of my members, Mr. Speaker. And if they had, let me be clear, that member would know, this caucus would know, and indeed Nova Scotians would know.
The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Mr. Speaker, last week when a motion was put to refer allegations of aggressive and inappropriate conduct against the member for Yarmouth, to put these allegations to the House Committee on Internal Affairs, the Liberals used their majority to vote that referral down. Now, that decision, in our view, lacked wisdom, and we opposed it. But the decision to block the reference to the House Committee seems even less prudent today in light of yesterday's allegations. Now, in light of new information brought forward yesterday by former members of the House, will the Premier now support a reference to the Internal Affairs Committee of these allegations of inappropriate conduct against the member for Yarmouth?
The Honourable Premier.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to thank the Honourable for the question. The Minister, member from Yarmouth, the Minister of Education, continued to talk about his passion when it comes to defending his constituents and expressing himself, Mr. Speaker. I fully support the Minister. At no time has anyone brought to me any issue or allegation of physical contact with any members of our team, Mr. Speaker, and at no time would I stand for that, Mr. Speaker, so let me be clear about this. But at no time has anyone brought that to me. The issue was brought before the House last week, Mr. Speaker, was voted on, and we're looking forward to continuing to govern this province.
The Honourable Leader of the New Democratic Party.
Mr. Speaker, I want to register my disappointment at reading reports of the statement issued by the Premier's office in response to yesterday's allegations. In that Premier's office statement, the member for Yarmouth states his view that, in contrast with his more elevated approach, quote, of late, some members of the opposition are more interested in coordinated personal attacks, unquote. I will table that. Mr. Speaker, this is a statement in which the Premier's office and the member for Yarmouth are diminishing the complainants in this case. Now, surely, if there's one thing that is known about responding in a responsible way to allegations of inappropriate or aggressive conduct, it is that diminishing complainants is never a path that anyone should follow. Will the Premier apologize for diminishing those who yesterday came forward with their experiences?
The Honourable Premier.
I want to thank Donald for raising the question. As I said, Mr. Speaker, to second question, when this issue was brought to my attention on Monday night, Mr. Speaker, the emails that were forwarded not only to me, to him, to the leader of to the official opposition, and Mr. Speaker, we were copied on an email that was sent to you. I took this issue very seriously, Mr. Speaker. At no time had anybody contacted me, Mr. Speaker, directly about a contact of any of my members when it comes to physical contact, Mr. Speaker, but I took it a step further, continued to make sure that I went through the entire record from those former two members as well as the two leaders that were currently leading the party at the time to find out if there had been any information sent to me, Mr. Speaker. There was no information there, and I continued, Mr. Speaker, to go even further, to go into my own constituency office email to identify whether or not something had been brought to my attention. There was no information there, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to continue to make sure, Mr. Speaker, we listen, Mr. Speaker, to what the honourable member said. I'm not questioning, Mr. Speaker, whether they had an experience. What I'm telling you, Mr. Speaker, nobody brought a physical contact of any of my colleagues to my attention.